Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
You're one breakthrough away from your next six-figure year. Maybe it's a better offer, a sharper sales process, or finally cracking client acquisition. Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets, where every single week we hand you the strategies, the frameworks, and the real-world plays that are working right now for coaches just like you. I'm your host, the Road Dog, with the man himself, the guy that's just come back from his third teeth whitening of the day, Karl Bryan. Shoots, welcome to the show.
Shoots. What's going on? I may have brushed my teeth 3 times today, but I have not been to the teeth whitening.
No, that was not a thing.
Unnecessary.
Okay, well, you know what? Potato, right? There you go.
Potato. There you go. What's going on, Shoots? How are you, bud?
Lots and lots going on. As per usual, just life is crazy busy. How is this is the first time where folks were changing up technology. It only took us 6 years to step into 2021 in 2026, but here we are. So we're now on Zoom. So maybe you get to see our handsome faces at some point on a YouTube channel near you.
Shoots, you know my motto there. I want them to, this isn't mine. This is people significantly better looking, smarter, and more successful than I, let's call it. But you want them to know your name, but not your face. So there you go, Shoots. So no plan for this ugly mug to be anywhere too.
Couple of guys with faces made for radio. Let's go. Hey, speaking of tech, let's jump right in, Shoots. Obviously, the hot topic of, I swear to goodness, every single day is AI this, AI that. Let's get the KB breakdown of your thoughts on AI.
You're getting straight into it, Jude. You're getting straight into it. Look,
hey, there's no messing around here, bud. There's no messing around. The people are anxious. They need to know.
It's funny looking at you, by the way. Anyway, so AI. I'll tell you this, the goal of the big AI companies, literally from their mission statement, right? Goal is, quote unquote, to replace all human labor, right? So like, end quote. So no sugarcoating, no pretending. Like, whoa, there it is. Is that a song, Shoots? I think that's it. There it is. Is that an MC Hammer thing? Anyway, so, and by the way, so you go, okay, so replace all human labor, why, or what's the end of the rainbow, the pot of gold, well, the prize is owning the entire global economy. Nothing serious. And by the way, 20% unemployment leads to, let's call it citizen unrest. Translation, I'm going to translate that, but you could, you know what I mean? This is not real good. So at the end of the day, I think we got to be, understanding where we're going. I feel like I'm stepping on a rake as I think all this through. But look, you ask AI, 2 things I'd say on AI. One, 2 guys built a $1 billion company, right, with only 2 people, and then all of the work performed by AI agents, right? And then number 2 would be that a few months ago, and I'm not totally privy to all the details of this story at all, but search it, Google it, you'll find it. But Alibaba had an AI agent bypass security, broke out of its, sandbox environment, engaged in unauthorized crypto mining on company GPUs. Thank you very much. And my opinion is that should terrify us all just a little bit, right? So yeah, the robots are coming, they're taking over. But to be an entrepreneur, what are you going to do? we're not going to lose our jobs, right? The robots are going to take the workers' jobs, but at the end of the day, that's the importance of being an entrepreneur, right? Like ultimately, what you're going to be doing is hiring the AI, creating the AI agents. The robot. I remember from last week, my daughter, she jumps out of the car. What's the last thing that I get her to say? She says, AI is my bitch, right? And her little friend, which by the way, you might love that, you might hate that, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that she's got the right frame where people are going to lose jobs from AI, no doubt, but she ain't going to be one of them. And I want that to be planted in her head, right? So the boss doesn't lose his job. It's that much more important that we are entrepreneurs and that business coaches are guiding the entrepreneurs so we can make sure we're all, going in the right direction. Like we built an AI business coaching dojo. We also built AI Coach Assist, again, like our own products. One of our clients, he's talking to a business owner. He plugged in his answer, was like an objection, right? And we have a specific AI agent built for handling objections. He asked a dojo in real time and basically gave him the answer in Scott's words, right, verbatim from the AI agent. And the guy's like, "Wow, I really like that." And basically, the guy got started. I talked about that in one or two podcasts ago. But at the end of the day, like that's the kind of stuff that is there, right? So when you ask me about AI, I just say like I've got a very good buddy who's a big dog at NVIDIA. What's that saying? First comes the money, then comes the power, then come the girls, right? I'm pretty sure that's from Scarface, actually. But anywho, USA and China, right? Fighting over the AI race. I think they're thinking safety first or money first. Your instincts are correct. Like it is money first all day long. Like economic power comes first, and then political power is going to what? It is going to follow. So if China can beat AI, can beat US, the US in the AI race, they're going to have trillions of dollars, right? The global economy, and therefore can build the most ruthless military, better drones, more drones, can buy off countries by building them airports, building them roads, building them bridges. Why would they do that? Charge a toll. It's really great. It's a fairly scary thought. But at the end of the day, I think I was trying to say like two things. One, two guys built a $1 billion company using AI agents and two people, right? Two humans. And then the second thing is that, you worry about, the security and whatnot of AI. The reality is that we got to keep our eyes on the prize. And I don't think you can trust the government and those that are, you're going to trust Sam Altman with the security of your, some of your stuff. Anyways, Johnny on the spot. So I don't know, Sheets. That's my answer. That's what's on my mind.
Okay, hold on though. Before we get off this topic though, let me ask you though, Shoots. So if two guys can build a $1 billion company, where like who's the big winner here in all of this? Like where's all this going?
Yeah. Question is all the wealth going to go to 10 guys that own, let's call it AI in the global economy, right? Like so Shoots, countries look after their people, right? Why? Because they pay taxes, right? They live in their communities, and then their kids grow up to take over, the jobs, the communities, run the schools, etc., build the playgrounds and the bike paths, right? Well, the young support the old, and the old support the super young kind of thing, right? Like that's a society. Well, what happens when that no longer is the case, right? The kids are no longer needed to drive the economic future, like as in drive GDP, because the robots and agents are kind of doing all of the work. I think the 10 people are going to distribute the wealth evenly across the world, right? That ain't going to happen. The end game for the big dogs in AI, once again, it's literally from the mission statement, replacing all human labor. I feel like I'm eating crayons much of the time when dealing with AI, but not a lot of room for error on that statement. The ultimate prize is owning the global economy, trillions of dollars and more power than you could shake a stick at, or that you could dream. Like the Philippines is built on customer service, right? I think you'd agree with that. I think anybody would agree with that. I can't see a world in 10, I'm going to say 10, 15 years where they don't lose that entire portion of their economy. right? Like the economy doesn't recess, it breaks in that instance. So anyway, shoots, that's a little bit, I don't know. I also I don't want to be the doom and gloom because I'll just real shoots. I'm going to finish with this. Like the automated cars, autonomous cars, it was done 5 years ago, right? Do you see them on the road? And the answer is hardly. What happened? Somebody died. Are the robots coming? Yes, the robots are coming. But what's going to happen? Something bad is going to happen. Somebody's going to fall from a work site, in a home. Something bad's going to happen and it's going to get set back. So what I don't want you to do is think that all of this stuff is happening. You know what I mean? Everything's going to collapse anytime soon. Absolutely not. But I think you'd be nuts not to be thinking about where does this all go? And just make it like AI needs to be your bitch, right? Like you need to be using AI, not have AI using you. It can't, yes, it's going to displace people. Let's just make sure it's not you, right? It's not me. It's not Road Dog. It's not us. And that, I don't know. Please take that all with a grain of salt. But anyway, Shapes, that's my answer, buddy. A little bit.
Just a little word from our sponsor. The AI is my bitch merch will be dropping next week. So there you go, folks. That's coming soon to tank top, sleeveless, only for Karl. So there you go. Anyways, interesting. Like it's always interesting to me because I always think of that Tony Robbins one where he's talking about self-driving cars and how the biggest loser in all of that was organ transplants and organ donations, and then 3D printing comes in, right? Like there's all these. Look, we always got to look for what's the next thing. What is this going to cost, right? Like you always talk about that. So
second, third, fourth order consequences, right? Like it's a mental model. It's exactly like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Like if you own a car wash and then all cars are autonomous, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be, you know what I mean? There's going to be significantly less cars on the road, I would dare say. What does that mean for a car wash? What does that mean for Tesla? What does that mean for Ford? You know what I mean? Like just kind of thinking like, where is the puck going? And if you're, but there's unbelievable, make sure you're hearing this. The opportunities have never been greater. But at the same time, you gotta make AI your bitch, bud. There you go.
and you know what, dude, I like it because I am deep with AI right now, and the one thing my mindset right now is there is literally nothing that I cannot do. There's just stuff I need to learn, and I love how it's like I use Manus a lot, and I love how it always gives me 3 prompts of the suggestions of what comes next. I'm like, oh man, and it's just the creativity that comes from it. But anyways, let's shift gears a little bit here. I want to get back to maybe not just coaching. Like it's interesting. Our kids are getting older. Shoots, can you believe it? My daughter got her L this week. She is on the road and driving, which is
Really?
Yeah, she got her L, dude. It's it's coming quick, buds. Like just watch out. Now it's like, how is she going to be as a driver? Well, you ask my youngest, and she says she's going to be a way better driver than my oldest. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus here, but I think she might be right. It reminds me of success. So this is a long and twisted tale of me getting to this question. Is there a way to predict if someone will be successful prior to them starting or just early on? Boom. How is that for a transition?
Okay. Yeah, shoots. I'm impressed. Can't believe Ava's going to be driving. That's crazy, but that's crazy. Okay. Okay. Is somebody, I'd say yes. And, keep in mind, I've been doing this for 21 years. And this is kind of actually what I'm about to say, I think is kind of from like my intro video. So first, maybe you mentioned this a second ago, but like, boundaries and just where everything's going. Knowledge has boundaries. Imagination has no boundaries. So knowledge, you get to be intelligent. Imagination, you get to change the world, right? Think there's a quote from Walt Disney, something along those lines, right? But all the magic is in imagination, right? So thinking about that, when you're thinking of AI, don't think of, boundaries and limitations and constraints. Think the exact opposite, the way Road Dog just went. Actually, I was speaking to John Moore. He heads up our client success, legend, ex-military guy, did 5 tours. Love him. And anyway, so he was about to talk to one of our coaches, and that coach, a little bit on the, let's just put it, like yeah, it was a little bit of a conversation around, we were doing a group call and somebody opened up. And we kind of went in this direction where it was like, pessimists get to be right, but optimists get to be rich. Right. So again, pessimistic, you're going to be right more often, but optimistic, you're going to be kind of able to change the world. So anyway, so we were going to chat about a group call, and we kind of went there, right? But anyway, so I ask one question, okay? Because somebody going to be successful, they're a business coach. I say, what happens if being a business coach doesn't work out for you, right? And what's the answer? And I will tell you that there's going to be one of three answers. They won't use, like, what I mean? The wording is always going to be a little bit different, but they say, I'll try and see what happens. Okay, effectively, it's like they got a backup plan, ready to either do something different. Maybe they're going to end up going to get a job, right? What do? They go month to month, quarter to quarter, deciding if they're going to continue. And the reality is that approach just doesn't lend itself to success and the effort required to really, get to the point where you're semi-retired for the rest of your life and killing this, right? Okay, so then there's the second quote unquote answer. And I would say that it's what do they say? I'll try anything and I will make it work, right? So this person grinds and hustles. Just think of Gary Vaynerchuk as an example, right? They start slow. Hopefully they finish fast, right? But at the end of the day, after 12 months, they finally crack the code. And the good news is they do get to the point where they're semi-retired for the rest of their life, but it takes a little bit of time and they're going to try anything, right? But the third one, and the ideal one, is that this is what I was born to do. I'll die before I quit, right? Like John Moore, I mentioned a minute ago, like he would fall into this category as a business coach. Like he loves it. He's a business coach at his core, right? And just like for that individual, failure is not an option. And they get there through pure dogmatic effort and intensity, right? Success is just simply inevitable. And they're the ones that go on, they crack the code, but ultimately these are the ones that go on to do seven figures. And why? Because they just get it at a visceral level, right? But my real question there is, which one are you, right? So you're going to try and see what happens. Are you the person that's going to go, look, I'm going to do anything and I'm going to make this thing work, go, 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 go? Or is this at a visceral level what you were born to do? And is this something that you would say, look, I'd rather die than quit at becoming a successful coach? And the truth is, you got to be all in. And said another way, this is actually literally from my intro video, but there's like a famous story about Mel Fisher. Good news, Mel Fisher found $100 million treasure off the Florida Keys. The bad news is it took him 17 years, right? Nearly 2 decades. And he lost a wife. He lost a kid. He lost his personal fortune. He lost his sanity. But at the end of the day, he did find it. Okay. Why did he find it? How did he find it? What's the message of the story? 3 core beliefs. Is it there? He said yes. Am I the guy that's going to find it? He said yes. And then most importantly, number 3 is it going to be worth it? Right. So to you as the business coach, and you fall under, this is what I was born to do at a visceral level, and I'll die before I give up. Here's my question. Are the business owners out there? Are you the one that they will choose? Are you the one that they will hire? Are you the one they should hire? Think of your identity, right? And then 3, it is going to be challenging. It is going to be difficult. You're going to have to go through some brick walls, right? There will be some speed bumps, if not some massive hills, and in some cases feels like mountains to get over the top of. And then you're just going to see another peak. But my question is, thirdly, will it be worth it? And from my experience, if you do crack it, semi-retired for the rest of your life, right? Question number 3 is absolutely critical. If you can go there and decide it's absolutely going to be worth it, you'll push through, forget the speed bump, forget the hill, but forget the mountaintop. You will get to the mountaintop, see the further peak, and go, no problem, let's go. Because again, you'd rather die than not get there. So anywho, shoots, that's but I do think you just, look, at the end of the day, ask somebody, ask the business. By the way, turn that around and use that on a client, on a business owner. Like, what happens if, this landscaping business doesn't work out for you? Right? No plan B. There's that famous story of blowing up, you got to blow up the boats if you want to take the island. Got to blow up the boats. No plan B. Just go. That's my answer, Shades. What do you think?
Can I speak to point two there for a second? Because you mentioned Gary Vee, and I love that whole "Are you the one?" Right? The quote was, it was this lady that came up to Gary Vee and said, "Gary, one day I'm gonna be somebody," and he's like, "Stop right there. You already are somebody." And I was like,
nice.
Wow, like that whole "you're somebody now." It's such a powerful video, and I wish more people would subscribe to that. It's like, don't worry about who you're going to be. You're somebody now. And that's somebody's pretty damn cool and pretty damn important. So,
Shoots, can I jump in and add to that?
Yeah.
My business coaching program this is literally 20 years ago. So think books, binders, CDs, DVDs, etc. Right? Like, I realize that's aging myself at a very impressive level. But anyway, so the opening quote in it was, "Let us believe in you until you believe in yourself." That's kind of, the same frame. And it was just like, lend it, put it our way. We got this. We got you. We're going to prop you up, right? We're the giants. Jump on our shoulders. We clearly didn't guard, but it was just, I love that. I love that. And I could not agree more. The business owners are hurting, man. They're lacking confidence. So you already are somebody. I love it, Shoots.
All right, buds. Well, here you go. You know what they all need? A strategy. Now, there's a word that gets thrown around, and well, not just in our industry, everywhere. And it seems like you ask 10 people and you get about 14 different definitions of what strategy means. But everyone does agree strategy it's critically important. So, but again, like, what the hell does it mean? Like, what is strategy? I want to get your take on that. What's your opinion on strategy and what strategy actually is?
Okay. This is one that I thought I knew was coming, Shoots. It'd be a little bit easier to answer. Say this, first of all, like there's a very popular saying, strategy will eat tactics for breakfast. Making a bit of a meal of that, but you get the idea. Strategy much more important than tactics. Strategy comes first, then tactic. But I can tell you this: if I'm, if Road Dog owns a landscaping company, then he hires me to come and coach him, and I'm going to charge him $2, $3, $4, $5 a month as his business coach. Generally speaking, and there are nuances to this, slight nuances, but I'm not starting with strategy. I am starting with strategy in mind, but I'm starting with tactic. Why? I want to get some small wins on the board. I want to get some small wins before we look for the monster wins. If I get too strategic too quick, he doesn't get the runs on the board, because ultimately, if I have a client, I need them to be compliant. And what I mean by that is, I say jump, they say how high. If I'm too big picture and I'm too strategy first, I might not get those small wins. I don't get the buy-in, and all of a sudden I can end up losing my client. Anyway, so start with that. Think of strategy as a filter, right? Like, no is a decision, yes is a responsibility. I think if Warren Buffett's here, right? He says strategy is saying no to everything. And then I would follow that on with, it's not saying no to everything. It's saying no to everything that is not your core thing, right? So if you have multiple priorities, guess what? You got no priorities, right? Or Kobe, I've used him as the example for a long time. Like, he said no to everything that didn't drive him to become the best basketball player of all time, right? And by the way, in his opinion, whether you agree, I agree, Road Dog agrees, it's irrelevant. In his opinion, he became, he was the greatest basketball player of all time, and he got there, right? But that was his goal. for like literally a couple of decades, it made decision making easy, right? Like one question, does this get me closer to being the greatest basketball player of all time? If the answer is yes, he did it. If the answer is no, he didn't do it, right? So again, strategy is like a filter to say, what am I not going to do, significantly more so than what what I am going to do. So I don't know, maybe when thinking strategy, think of, okay, you're taking a magnifying glass and you're shining it on a piece of paper, right? And you've got the sun obviously coming down. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to light the piece of paper on fire. If you move the magnifying glass into, 4 areas, multiple spots, guess what? No fire. If you place it in one spot for an extended period of time, next thing you know, you got yourself a little bit of a fire. So think about that, right? Or it's I'm thinking of Southwest Airlines, right? So like the greatest one-line strategy for a company, debatably, but of all time, Southwest Airlines. I remember Southwest Airlines, they made more money than all airlines combined. And what was their one-line strategy? A plane on the ground makes no money, right? So what do? They got insanely good at getting people and luggage on and off the plane, right? No first class, no excitement. It was just get on, get off, see you next time. And again, ridiculously profitable, right? Or like Toyota, um, like they're obviously known for incredible quality, right? So they had a thing, stop the line. It might be something a little bit different, but I believe it's like stop the line, like 3 words. And that was an operational approach. And at any stage, any worker could like stop the entire line if they saw a mistake or they spotted a defect, etc. So it was like they could just stop it. Bingo, bango, bongo. That was it, right? Or Dell computers. Again, there's a reasonably famous story behind Dell computers and why they are so ridiculously profitable as a computer company. But basically, I think it's 2 words, but I just be direct, go direct, something to that effect, right? Like just, what does that mean? Sell straight to customers, no retail middlemen. Why? Clog up the supply chain, pricing issues, speed issues. Remember, money loves speed. So tell me, if they go direct to customer, can they be faster than if you have to go to the computer store? Answer's pretty obvious, right? Or maybe it's Walmart, low prices every day. So you own Walmart. Do you say yes or no to fancy displays? Do you say yes or no to premium brands? Remember, low prices every day, right? Anything that adds cost to the product in order to get the end product into the client's hands, the answer is obvious, right? Like if it doesn't help drive prices lower, it's a hard no, right? Actually, Rodel, give me a sec. I'm going to just open up. I'm going to open up my AI business coaching dojo here for a sec. Okay, so here I'm just using one of our AI agents, right? Okay, so Zara, what's this? Fast fashion, right? So everything is built around getting clothes from sketch to store in 3 weeks, right? Bingo, bango, bongo. A painting company. So, okay, wow, 1-day painting, in and out in 1 day, right? They don't take on monster multi-day projects. They come to your home with a big crew and they're in and they're out. Zero, imagine that, zero disruption to the family, right? Subway, eat fresh, right? What do? They say no to prepaid or pre-made and frozen stuff, right? So they, build your own, I think is how they call it. At the end of the day, it's got to get a healthy feel to it. Exactly how healthy that food is, I don't know about that. I'll let you decide. But at the end of the day, there's like a few examples, right? Straight from the dojo. I can tell you, I built a multi-million-dollar company on 4 words. What were those 4 words? No results, no fee. What did those 4 words of no results, no fee? They melted away any prospects kind of hesitation, right? By the way, my goal when I was working with a small business small business owner, was to place $100,000 in their bank account within 100 days, right? A little over 3 months of rocking and rolling. And by the way, you asked me, how did I do it? I installed our operating system framework. What is that? Upsell, downsell, cross-sell, compelling upfront offer, a market dominating position, control costs, etc. Right? So it's just that simple. So what did I do? I said, when tactically working with the client, tactically and strategically working with a small business owner, my goal was to put $100,000 into their bank account within 100 days. What was I always successful? Absolutely not. Why was I not always successful? The truth is that things come up with the business owner. It's the staffing issue, it's the marriage issue, it's the kid issue, it's this issue, that issue. But at the end of the day, you got to keep them on railroad tracks. But if that's your undeniable goal, and that's where you set your reticular activating system, the same way when you build or you buy a red Toyota, and all of a sudden, what do? You see red Toyotas everywhere. You know what I mean? Like everything you're going to see in that landscaping company, everything you see in that roofing company, everything you see with the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker is how you're going to go about putting $100,000 into their bank account. Right. So again, you zoom yourself in. Hang on, Rhoda. I just got a couple more examples here from my dojo shoots. Realtor, your house sells in 60 days, or we pay the mortgage. A mortgage broker, you get approved, or we eat the fee. An electrician, lights back on before dinner. On time, on budget. Use that one many a times. A cafe, your coffee ready in 5 minutes or less. And again, if you own this cafe, okay, so coffee ready in 5 minutes or less. If you own the cafe and you're thinking business, that's your strategy, right? Like this is the game plan. Would it be easier or harder to staff and make business decisions, right? It's easier because you know exactly what you need to do in order to deliver on your promises, right? And if you're not delivering and your staff's not delivering, what do you got to do? You're going to have to put another person on the line. You're going to need to buy another coffee maker. You're going to need to get more milk. You're going to need to, change the flow of the, in you know what I mean? There's a flow to a restaurant. If you can understand that. You got to change the flow, right? Complicate. You own that cafe. Are you going to do complicated smoothies and milkshakes? Hard no. Why? All it's going to do is slow you down from getting, the coffee out. You're going to do complicated orders that invariably are going to slow everything down. Are you going to do it? Hard no. And by the way, you go, well, hang on a sec. All you're going to do is sell us coffee. Have a look. Margins on coffee are absolutely insane. And what do people want in the morning? Do they want to wait a long time or do they want it lickety split? We know the answer. And by the way, this is the magic. This is the magic of Starbucks, right? Show me something at Starbucks that is made to order, and you can't, right? Because it's not. It's like a Toyota assembly line. Bingo, bango, bongo. You order on the left, you pick up on the right. It's a full blown process. And shoots, before I throw it back, but the bottom line here, right? When somebody buys your coaching, they are not buying your coaching. They're buying what are they buying? They're buying a better version of themselves. They're buying a better version of their company. They're buying a better version of their staff. They're buying a better version of their supply chain. They're buying a better version of their cafe. Think like new identity that we've talked about numerous times over the last few weeks, right? Like that's the silent outcome that they desire. And I would encourage you, if you agree with that, maybe you disagree, and that's totally fine. That's absolutely my experience, and I believe that to be absolutely fact. But if you agree with that, and you agree with me there, I would speak to it directly, right? So shoots, a little bit, look, strategy is about saying no to everything outside of the one thing, the main thing, the core thing, right? Like Jordan was Jordan because he was all in on basketball. Yeah, later on he got a little bit the gambling and some other stuff kind of took shape a little bit, but at the end of the day, he was, as a young man, he was all in on basketball. I think you could the end, as was Kobe. So if you do not have 10 clients, be all in on everything related to getting those 10 spots filled. Okay, that's your strategy. What do you got to do? You got to say no to everything outside of that activity. Let me tell you, you will be 10x mentally I don't want to word this, just like mentally stronger, kind of sounds stupid, but like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be 10 times as strong, 10 times as strong mentally, and not to mention 10 times as persuasive once you got those 10 clients. Like it's kind of like the domino that knocks over all the other dominoes. It makes you so, when you are in a positive state of mind, you see opportunities. When you're in a negative state of mind, actually, no, let me reword that. When you're in a positive state of mind, when you're in a negative state of mind, you see problems. And when you're in a positive state of mind, you see opportunities, you see solutions, right? What do you got to do before you go make a big decision? It's Tony Robbins 101. What does he do? He gets you jumping up and down, screaming yes, clapping your hands. He gets you into a positive state of mind. Shoots, I can't say that without mentioning Warren Buffett. But what does Warren Buffett say? He doesn't get into a boardroom all pumped up. Right? Why? Because he doesn't want to make an enthusiastic decision. He wants to make a calculated, strategic, intelligent decision. But that said, let's not get. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But you need to manage everything, but at the same time, putting yourself in a positive state of mind is going to bring out solutions. And if you've got 10 clients and you're looking to get 15, 20, you're going to be so much stronger once you got that done. But what do you got to do? You got to follow Kobe, follow Jordan, and you just got to say no to everything that is not getting those clients. Yeah. So anyways, that's and then with your clients, by the way, do the same thing. What's the one thing for them? What's the equivalent of basketball? What's the equivalent of the 10 clients for them, for your landscaper, butcher, baker, candlestick maker? And what do you help them do? Right? Like a plane on the ground makes no money. You got to come up with that one sentence, like wow painting, right? They come in and out in one day. The end. It makes it really easy for them to know how to generate leads, what kind of clients to take on, how many people they need to get to show up. They got to get in, they got to get out, and they got to do it in the same day. Harder than it sounds in many cases, but that said, if you dial in, I think that's a pretty good idea to be driving your clients in that regard. What do you think, Shit? It's a bit of a rabbit hole, man, but strategy.
Holy smokes. I was like, how deep is this rabbit hole? Listen, you mentioned identity, and whenever I think identity, I'm always looking and thinking of comparison, right? Especially, let's not kid ourselves, social media, Instagram, you're always comparing yourself to somebody else. Where they say comparison is the thief of joy, right? So, but I think you've also said that you can also use it to successfully build a business. I just like, I want to dive in on that subject a little bit. Like, how is the question here? How can comparison be used by a business coach to accelerate their success?
Like the question, by the way, good thought. Would you say comparison is the thief of joy? That's
Isn't that what they say? Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And could not. So stay the hell off social media, especially teenage girls. My heavens. Anyway, so what am I going to say there? Like, put the crown on your own head, right? Nobody's done it more successful than who? That would be one Tony Robbins, right? What do they do? He was fighting. This goes back, I don't even know, decades, right? 30 years. He fought against the psychologists, the psychiatrists, the whole, mental health kind of profession, let's call it. And what did he say? He said, come to my seminar and I guarantee to cure any phobia on the spot. And even one you've had for 20 years and no one's been able to cure it for you, right? Something to that effect. What did psychiatrists do? Nuts, right? They're calling him a charlatan, got massive press, by the way. And what do they do? He turned it into $1 billion career, right? Remember, Tony Robbins gets paid for who he is more than what he does, right? Important distinction. And by the way, right off the back of that, I used to run a seminar where I guaranteed to solve any marketing problem on the spot, right? Truth worked incredible. But don't think I didn't have some nervous moments before I walked up on that stage, especially, early on when I started it, right? But it came straight off the back of that. So think, and by the way, all of the problems tend to come back to the same thing. And if I didn't really have a good answer, I would throw it back to them and I would say, what would you say? And that said, not that it's remarkably easy for me to answer those things in real time. But that said, Some people are trying to, trick you a little bit, that kind of thing. You could pull that off if you got some moxie, if you got some mojo, if you've got some, business coaching prowess, right? But think of having a crown like that, right? Might get you on the phone with some ideal clients, some joint ventures, some accountants, some business brokers, some bankers, etc. Right? Like I say, I think it's Dan Kennedy, he would always say, like, create your own comparisons, right? Like that's how you do it. In other words, make something official and then go and use it, right? Like who's to say who's the number one business coach in your city? Right? Who's to say who's the fastest growing business coach in your city? Who's to say who's the business coach that provides the highest ROI per client, or the only coach that works off 7% of increased revenues? Right? Question: Are you willing to take that mantle? Are you willing to take that title, or more to the point, create it for yourself? Right? Like, what does Salesforce say? I don't know, number one CRM, something like that. I know HubSpot, they say they're the best, number one or the best CRM for small business, right? Like Titleist, they say they're the number one ball in golf. That might be Ping. At the end of the day, like somebody's, like, I think it's Titleist, right? But number one ball in golf, Red Bull, number one energy drink. So your client, psychiatrist, America's number one shrink, the best reviewed psychiatrist in Wisconsin, Wisconsin's number one shrink. I don't know, like create any example you want. And by the way, do this for yourself, but also do it for your client, right? Like who's to say who is the, highest performing business coach in your city, right? How are you going to, create the found, like you want to compare it? Well, create the framework to compare it and make sure that you're at the top, right? It's really simple. I just, so now as I say that, I just go, the question is what? Think of the identity, and I've talked about this a number of times over the last, let's call it month and a half, 2 months, but is that within your identity? And is that who you are as a person? Look, do you deserve that mantle? That's what I'm trying to say. Can you own it when you say it? Because if you can't own it when you say it, how do you think it's going to come across? The answer is not too well, right? Like, you ever watch the ESPYs, right? So like they're like the Grammys for sports. By the way, how did nobody think of that prior to ESPN? That's my question. Or have you watched the MTV Awards, right? So they're the same as the ESPYs, but for music, right? So the Grammys are like official and stuffy, and then the MTV Awards are like full of kind of wild, unscripted energy, we'll call it. Like, remember Madonna? And I love Madonna, let me tell you. Certainly did when I was growing up, but like Madonna kissed Britney one year, right? Nearly shut down America, right? We just, maybe just in my house shoots, but that was kind of crazy. But Jamie Foxx serenaded Serena. I know Peyton Manning, he hosted one year and he was just like ruthless when he like roasted everybody. Or like, how about like the Academy Awards, right? Ever notice how many win the Oscar, but the box office, like, what do you call it? The box office totals, is that it? Like they say something horrifically different, right? How would you feel if you started a movie that grossed like 100 times as much as, the other movie, and then that other movie won the Oscar for best film? It just, how does that happen, right? It's like a total joke. Well, I don't know if it's a total joke, by the way, because again, you got to look at the criteria. But let's face it, in 10 years, one is an Academy Award winner and the other is not. And how, again, people get introduced as that all the time. And not that you don't need to be amazing to win the Academy Award. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But at the end of the day, that one person has the mantle, and that's that. And, generally speaking, people don't question it, right? So just people love and are drawn to rankings. Think of creating your own list, right? Like Evan Carmichael, you might have heard of him, but he was actually my first interview ever on my podcast. He's a fellow Canadian, and he used to have like top realtors in Canada, top mortgage brokers in California, top influencers in digital marketing, right? And he would use it to drive a lot of traffic. He was very good on Twitter. By the way, now formerly known as Twitter, right? X. And by the way, HubSpot does the same thing. Like HubSpot ranked I think it's the best business coaches to follow, right? I think I was 6 the last time I checked it. Tony Robbins was number 1. I was number 6. Suddenly, guess what? I'm a fan, right? I'm watching what they're doing, right? Silly, maybe, but here I am talking about it, right? Um, I talked about this once in the past, but I know there's like an oil and gas machinery company, right? They literally sell awards to oil and gas machinery companies, right? So you pay more to rank higher. That's kind of the way it works, right? Not maybe that bad and that black and white, but pretty close. You know what? You know who looked into it? Nobody. And by the way, nobody really cares, right? But when you're able to say you were ranked number 1 for XYZ in the entire oil and gas industry, it's got power on marketing material and sales calls, right? So, ones that we'll all know, Volvo, what are they? The safest car. Like, are they? Right? You ever questioned it? No. They put together some commercials, put a test dummy in, ram the car into the brick wall, and we're all decide that Volvo's the safest car, right? Or BMW, like, are they really the driving machine, right? Is Red Bull really the number 1 energy drink? Is HubSpot really the CRM used by most small businesses, or the best, whatever they say, best, small business CRM, whatever? Um, so Shoots, I want to throw us back, but question, could you help your client become the driving machine for their industry? Could you create the local business awards for yourself? Have people trying to get onto your list and trying to get ranked higher and come up with a killer name like the ESPYs, right, for your awards? And by the way, I've said this before, and what do I hear? Well, it's already been done. Stop it. Just think of an angle like MTV, the ESPYs, like, do new businesses, do home services in your area, do new chiropractors, most established chiropractors, do dentists, do only rank chiropractors and dentists that have been in business for over 10 years in your city, in your state, across America, right? Like, there's your criteria. I don't know. Do you think this might get you some phone calls, some contacts? Like, at the end of the day, it's like Road Dog kind of said earlier, what you can do? You could do anything, right? And is it going to work? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But maybe it'd be worth a shot. Might be a little bit different than just plain old cold calling. Become the organizing body. And spoiler alert, there isn't currently an organizing body for what it is that you want to do. So again, you're going to be able to create one. And I will tell you this, I used to play hockey, right? And all tournaments were designed for the elite hockey players, right? So I would get sick and tired of being asked, let alone going and traveling to play in these different tournaments, right? So what did I do? And by the way, I was not lonely in that, because again, it was always kind of the same core guys or the same individuals getting asked, right? They go to the same, that top tier. Well, I created a tournament called the Silver Cup. Nuts and bolts. Nuts and bolts. You had to be bad to qualify to play hockey in the Silver Cup, right? We created rules that made it hard to qualify, like, only played hockey for 2 years or less. And then we had like a division women over the age of 40. We had a tin division. We had all kinds of stuff, right? What am I trying to say? Why am I telling you that? The tournament still exists today. My old business partner, he's still, we're still buddies, and he's still running, the same hockey rink that we owned many, many years ago. And it still runs today, 30 years later. And there's like theme teams like Team Porn, and all goalies on one team, and they block shots like you've got no idea. I used to be the goalie for the team, the goalies, by the way, many, many years ago. But it still stands 30 years later. Why? It's unique, it's different, and it's a totally different audience than what everybody else was going to, right? I don't know. And this is all a bit of a process, but shit, you asked me a good question. Uh, I think that's the way we should be thinking about it. The ESPYs, the MTV awards, like, create that's how you could do it. You could do it for your clients. You could do it for yourself. Bingo, bango, bongo. But don't think it's just going to happen overnight. You'd need to decide that this is what you were going to do, and kind of go, very much, I'm going to die or make this work kind of approach. And I think you could absolutely kill it. And yes, there are other local small business awards, but let me tell you, A, they are working. And B, you could create competing ones and do ridiculously well if that was on your bingo card. How to do shits? That's my answer.
Okay, well, you made that you're very thorough. There we go. Instead of rabbit hole, I'm going to go thorough. You're very thorough and detailed in your response to that question. I'm trying to put a bow on this podcast. Next, I do have follow-up that I'm going to ask you in the next episode, though, because it's one thing to make a list. It's another thing to do something with that list.
Nice.
But I do not have the time for that today, my friend. But one thing I cannot ever deny the people of in 5 minutes or less, give me, is I'm looking at you. You look so zen-like. You've got glowing trees behind you. It's beautiful. Give me your moment of zen.
My moment is zen. I don't know. Look at okay. So you go to my phone, right? And I've got a quote unquote lame life entry, right? Like, what does a lame life look like to you? And avoid the list at all costs is obviously the goal. Like, it's often 10x more effective. I might have actually said this last week. I can't remember. But anyway, I said it's 10 times more effective, a lame life list than the dream list, right? You know what I mean? Like, so, avoiding, it's like avoiding pain versus gaining pleasure, right? You'll pay more to avoid pain than you will to gain pleasure. So moving away from lame list can be wildly motivating, right? Like, I'll just tell you, like, for me, like driving my daughter to school every day, like that, it's frankly and maybe pathetically, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the highlight of my day most days, right? And we're joking and we're laughing, and she's currently, like warming up for, she's got a play coming up, so she's got lines, and some of these lines, like, my God, I don't know how she does it, but she can memorize like a full paragraph word for word. And so anyway, so we're doing it in the car, and we're playing and we're joking around and we're singing Katy Perry. She loves Katy Perry. She also loves Madonna, which is crazy. But anyway, so Katy Perry gets a bit of time. But anyway, so not driving my daughter to school is part of a lame life. So what do? I avoid think strategy from earlier. Like, I avoid missing it at all costs, right? So you ask me to do something at that particular time, I'm not missing it. And so I want to go to a different direction, like being motivated. If you're struggling to take action, you don't need a life coach or your YouTube video to get you motivated. What do you need? You need a bigger why to drive you, right? Like, they say your why should make others cry. And if your why doesn't make others cry, your why isn't big enough and you got to keep going. That doesn't mean you need to stop. That just means you need to keep going, right? And believe me, you've got it, because I say so often, but you can save a suicide. You can save a client. You can save a prospect. You can convert a prospect. So anyway, so that's all I'm going to say. So that's it, bud. That's it. Actually, you know what? If you've been married for 20 years, right? And your wife's friend calls you because your wife forgot her phone. Let's just say she uses Apple Pay. She needs you to get to the grocery store to pay for groceries, right? You'd likely say, look, can you pay? And we'll pay you back. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a big why here, is what I'm saying, right? And it's like, look, you're looking for other options. Like, hang on a minute, I don't want to drive to IGA. I don't want to drive to Safeway. I don't want to drive to the grocery store, right? Versus the friend calls you and says, your wife just got hit by a car and she's really badly injured. She needs you. She is asking for you. What happened? Where are you? Boom. And you're there like in literally record time. You know what I mean? Right. Including if you accidentally banged into a car, etc. You just bloody keep going and let them chase you, let the cops chase you, and you just get to your damn wife. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Why? If you're not feeling motivated, the life coach, the peak performance coach, the YouTube video, etc., jumping up and down, clapping hands, which, is better than not. YouTube video is better than no video. The positive YouTube video is better than no video. And doing some pump up stuff is better than not doing pump up stuff. But at the end of the day, what you really need is you need a monster why. And I just tell you, 90% of businesses fall over. You see my email every day. What do I put at the bottom? Marriages break up from a lack of money over a lack of love times 100. I am the poster boy for that. And I believe that to be fact. And I think there's a good chance you do too. And certainly a lot of folks do. So go make a difference. Go help some entrepreneurs. Go help some business owners. So shoots, that's what I got, bud. That's my Zen moment. That's all I got.
Right. Well, Zen, nothing like your wife just got hit by a car as a Zen moment, Shoots. I think we need to redefine what Zen is, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get there. You know what, folks? We're getting there. Anyways, thanks for hanging with us on another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Here's the deal. If you want more of this every single day, Karl sends out that daily email. Hopefully not of your wife getting killed in a car crash, but it is packed with coaching strategies, client wins, and the stuff that's actually moving the needle right now. Head to focus.com, get on the inside. It's where all the real work happens. And hey, if the episode helped you, do us a solid. Share it with another coach who needs to hear it. Leave us a review for feeling generous. We're on a mission to impact as many coaches as possible, and you sharing this show that it just makes it happen. So that is it for another week. We will see you on the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.